Hey, what's up? What's up? You're hanging with the Niner Nut on this beautiful Wednesday, September, typical September day, I should say, with the cool weather rolling in here on the East Coast. And what we're doing today is we're just breaking down Sunday's unfortunate loss to the Chicago Bears. If you are a Niner super psycho like I am, I'm sure that you were screaming and jumping and doing all those good things that we do when things are going good and the momentum is rolling through that first half. Yet you still want and felt that there could have been a lot more utilized that offense despite the bad weather. And if you are like me in that second half, you probably wanted to smash your face right through the screen and just say, "What the fuck? What happened here?" Yeah, the weather was bad. I understand that, but let's kind of get past that a little bit and try and figure a way to get the offense at least some percentage back to the way they played in the first half, which for the most part I thought was pretty interesting. I mean, they looked like the typical what we thought they were going to see. A little too conservative, if you ask me. I thought they were going to take a lot more chances downfield, but that didn't happen. Just before we break into the breakdown of this game, stat wise and player wise, look, coming into the season for the Chicago Bears on paper, I don't think a lot of people figured the Bears are that good a team. I don't think they're that good a team, and I'm not trying to demonize them and knock them. They have a brand new head coach. They're still trying to figure out who Justin Fields is. They're still trying to figure out a lot of the different moving and pieces that they have to the defense as well as to the offense, is trying to figure out if they have themselves a legit number two wide receiver after the loss of Allen Robinson, if Cole Kmet is a legit tight end, or if he's just a guy who's kind of, 6 catches a game, 40 yards, all that good stuff. Is there life after, Khalil Mack? All these things, okay? And again, also, too, with the whole Robert Smith controversy, him wanting to be traded, all that stuff. So the Bears had a lot of questions to be answered. No way, shape, or form did I think the Bears were that good a team. Okay, and again, that's not just—it's just where they're at and at the current time and everything that's going on there. But I'll tell you the truth, after watching Sunday, I still don't feel that they're a good team. We made them look 10 times better than they were. We made Justin Fields look 10 times better than he was. And if you look at the numbers, you could see them on the screen in front of me. He was 8 of 17 for 121, two touchdowns and a pick. Those aren't great numbers at all. If you watch the game, Justin Fields looked lost a lot of the time, except for the touchdown pass. Well, the 2 touchdown passes that he threw. One, I mean, the first one that he threw, obviously it was a blown. The defense, it was a blown call there. I mean, I give them credit for that. And it was, I believe, it was a play action. He rolled out, and I give them credit for that. But other than that, they didn't show me anything that was really dynamic. So in all essence, 49ers lost to a shit team. Okay, all due respect to Bears fans, all due respect to the Chicago Bears, they lost to a shit team, and it really had nothing to do with the Bears being at home because we were dominating that game in the first half, left and right. The defense was just breaking down their offensive line, coming after Justin Fields, making him uncomfortable, forcing him into doing things, forcing him to try and run. We were shutting down the run. You didn't hear from Montgomery much, which took a backseat in the second half, as we all know, because Khalil Herbert, started to break through a little bit. But we had them pretty much on lock. But I don't want to get ahead of myself before we start talking to you guys individually on the comments and whatnot. Let's just go back through this. And I think the best way to do it is just coming into the game. We obviously knew we had no George Kittle, which was a huge loss, of course, when you don't have a player of his caliber in the starting 11. It sucks, and obviously we know that because of that, there were going to be a lot of changes made. I mean, yeah, Ross Dwelly got the start. We saw Charlie Werner come in and act more of a blocker. We saw, of course, Kyle Juszczyk using more as a blocker. More on the Kyle Juszczyk later, as I'm going to sound like the most broken record that there ever was. But so we already know coming into this we were down one of our top players, which really sucks. We also knew the weather wasn't going to be too great, although in the second half, it turned into the goddamn, I don't know, what's that movie with Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt? Twister. That's what it looked like on the field. I couldn't even believe it anymore. It was like, this is ridiculous. Pretty much toward the fourth quarter. But let's look at the stats. Let's break down the most obvious thing. Trey Lance, okay? Let's talk about his performance. 13 to 28, 168, one pick, sacked twice. Not a good performance at all, okay? In the similar videos I have up on the page, I tried to break down the game as much as I could at certain aspects. Just, kind of stopping it and taking videos where I felt needed. There were some things he did good, some things he did bad, more things he did bad than he did good. I have that video up where he's feeling the pressure in the pocket, and there's a huge gap between on the left side between Trent Williams. There's that huge gap that opens up, which he could have run through, and definitely have gained some yardage on the ground. Instead, he threw off his back feet, threw it behind Deebo Samuel, was an incompletion. So that, that to me, that looked like lack of confidence and kind of looked like, I don't want to use the word fear, but maybe inexperience. Because again, I'm trying to be fair and objective with Trey Lance. I really am. Believe me, I was rooting for him. I was pulling for him. I was going nuts when he was doing good things. I liked that he was mobile. I liked to see him running the ball a lot. I thought he was going to run the ball a lot more. Obviously, he led us in rushing, which is a good and a bad thing, to be honest. But passing wise, I thought that there were a lot of times that it just didn't look like he was on the same page with a lot of the receivers. The interception he threw, wasn't a great pass at all. A return for 26 yards definitely put momentum the Bears' way, and I believe they went on to score a touchdown from there. It absolutely fucking sucked. I'm not going to just go by one game, okay? However, that being objective and being said, for any expert, I don't give a shit if it's the stupid Stephen A. Smith who I can't fucking stand because he's just so goddamn obnoxious. I'm not saying he doesn't know certain things about the game. He does, but he's obnoxious. He always sounds like he's in church preaching, and he talks a lot of shit about people and talks down about them. Or any other expert who claimed, not that I'm saying they did, but in case they did, that Trey Lance was going to be the next Patrick Mahomes. We need to get off that train real quick, because that's obviously, one game doesn't tell us that, but even from last year's limited play, we know that's not so. So let's move on from that and just keep on going, shall we? Going down farther into the stats. Yeah, Trey Lance led us in rushing, 54 yards on 13 carries. The longest run he had was the 13-yard scatter. This is a good thing because, yeah, it opens up another dynamic for the offense. It also makes the defense now have to worry a lot more that you don't have a guy who's kind of non-mobile standing in the backfield. And it's also good because it brings another dimension to the offense. Now we have a guy who can come out of the pocket, throw the ball, who can run himself, as an independent entity, or can sit back in a pocket and throw that ball. So I like that. What I don't like about it is our quarterback should not be leading us in running yards when we have, a whole variety of running backs, in primarily a running back offense with a running base coach. We all know that. Okay, now Elijah Mitchell was running the ball really well before the injury, and that injury did look, I think it's to the MCL. It looked pretty bad there. Just looked like they rattled him the right way. I'm sorry to see him go down. I like him a lot. The injuries have really not been great for him, but that's why we have all the running backs that we do. Jeff Wilson had a limited run. I think at that point in the game they weren't going to run the ball as much. Brandon Ayuk ran. And of course, we saw the Deebo Samuel running the ball, 8 carries, 52 yards, and a touchdown, which I really liked. He had the lone touchdown for us in the game, the only touchdown for us in the game. And it looked to me that they were really going hard on Deebo with the running game, which I was really surprised at. I thought it would be one of those things where they would kind of, not do that so much and kind of mix it up a little bit. But look, Deebo's a freak show of talent on both sides of the ball. And the offensive line, I thought, played pretty well, given the fact that this is somewhat a lot of new pieces to that offensive line. My hat off to them. I don't think they played bad at all. I think they did what they could. My one kind of knock was the sack that Mike McGlinchey had given up on the edge. It goes back to what we usually say. You either get one McGlinchey, you get the other. I still think he has talent, but I just think that he's really got to become the full package that we expected him to become, and we have yet to see that. I will say this in terms of running the ball. I don't know why Shanahan stopped doing it. I don't understand why that happened. He's done that a couple times, okay? And I love Shanny, but I'm objective, and I'm going to be critical of him. Sometimes he goes into this very strange place that's conservative, yet I just don't understand. Why, in a very tight game like this, because it was 7-3 going into it was 7-3 in the third quarter at one point, or 7-7, whatever it was, I don't remember. Why did you stop going with what worked? Also, too, why wasn't other running backs utilized? We didn't get to see Jordan Mason. We didn't get to see the rookie Davis Price, which is strange. I didn't understand that at all, and it looked to me too that Debo stopped running the ball, and the whole running game stopped. I don't get it. The second half was an absolute disaster. It was a Titanic of all proportions. If you could split the second and first half into two games, let's just say for argument's sake, and it was the same team, you would say this is two different teams. What happened here? And I really have to put a lot of the blame on Shanny in the game calling, because I thought the second half, the play calling was absolute garbage. I just didn't get it. So they stopped running the ball, doing what makes us good, which really sucks. Receiving wise, okay, just trying to lower it so everybody could kind of see it live. I got nothing but love for this Jauan Jennings. I think he keeps getting better and better. 4 catches, 62 yards. He led us. He also led us in targets, which was very interesting. Brandon Ayuk, 2 catches, 40 yards. Another knock is that why wasn't Brandon Ayuk utilized more? I'm still not understanding. With the way he finished off last season, the preseason he had this year, why isn't he more of an offensive weapon used in the passing game? I don't know. I was happy to see Ray McLeod, get in there, not just kick returning and punt returning, but doing what he does. I would have liked to have seen him utilized a lot more too, especially out of the backfield, dump the ball to him. Debo was targeted 8 times, 2 catches, 14 yards. Some of those weren't the best passes. Okay, Ross Dwelly, pretty much two catches. Tyler Croft, a catch. Jeff Wilson, 2. So it just looks like typical Niner numbers in a sense when it comes to the passing game. But again, I just don't understand the targets. Obviously, there was no Danny Gray either, something I didn't know about till as the game had already gone on, which kind of sucked. Hence be why Ray was getting more burn. But I would have liked to have seen them go deep a lot more, especially to Ray. That was why we acquired him, not just, like I said, for the kick and punt return, or maybe to Debo or Brandon Ayuk or Jauan Jennings. I would have liked to have seen the deep ball been utilized more, primarily in the first half with the weather being a little better, but that didn't happen. It looked to me in the second half it was all kind of comfy conservative bullshit. Third down, we don't have it. Let's just punt. Third down, we don't have it. Let's just punt. I don't know. Got too comfortable, got too sloppy. Here's my biggest concern, and I'm going to pick up the camera and get real close. Why does Kyle Juszczyk have 2 friggin' targets? I'm going to say this for the 1,000th time, and I know I can't be the only one possibly saying this, because look at Kyle Juszczyk's past when he was with the Baltimore Ravens and how he was utilized there. Why don't we throw the ball more to this guy? Why don't we dump it to him out of the backfield a little more, or dump it to him in some other area, or make him more part of the passing offense? I understand that, we were down a blocker, we needed that blocking help, but that's what you have Tyler Croft and that's what you have Charlie Woerner for. I don't understand why we don't throw the ball to him more. I want to see Kyle Juszczyk become a guy that gets 5 receptions a game. And it's only going to make things 10 times better because he's the total package. Blocker, runner, catcher, receiver. I mean, I don't understand Shanahan with that. And this is going on year, whatever it is with Kyle Juszczyk. Year 4, year 5, and we still haven't seen him get more than maybe almost late 20s, early, 30 receptions per season. I don't understand that. It's too safe. It's too conservative. I don't get it. Okay? Scrolling down a little more. Yeah, Debo's fumble sucked. All right, that fumble absolutely blew. So that wasn't a good thing at all. What are you going to do? It was wet out. The weather sucked. It happens. Guy made a nice play, punched the ball loose. I mean, if you saw that replay, there was no doubt about that wasn't a fluke. He punched that shit loose. It was a good play. It happens. Okay? So, can't complain so much there. Let's go to defense a little bit. Now, Talanoa Huffenega. Okay, I said it. I said it a couple times. I've been saying it with the preseason hit that he had in Green Bay. It's Troy Polamalu II. It's Troy Polamalu II. And my hat off to DeMeco Ryans for using him the way he used him Sunday, blitzing him in. He looked like a missile coming out of the defensive backfield. He disrupted that run. I love this guy. This guy is a total package, a great draft pick. He looks to me that he has that versatility to him and a lot of energy that we need on that defensive backfield. It gives us a different spark, a different dynamic. It kind of reminds me, and I'm not trying to, I say this lightly because I'm not trying to ever compare the two, but I'm just saying in terms of the way they play. It reminds me of the heyday with Ronnie Lott. When Ronnie Lott was back there, that defensive backfield had a whole new dynamic. It kind of reminds me of Tim McDonald during the 1994 last Super Bowl. McDonald brought a little bit of that because McDonald could put your lights right out. It reminds me of the great Dennis Smith on the Denver Broncos, that type of player who can be used in the defensive backfield to cover a receiver or come up and just disrupt shit. I love that. So my hat off to him. 11 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass defended. This kid is going to be an absolute super stud. Fred Warner, always the great linebacker that he is. 6 tackles. Nick Bosa, wrecking ball, had a sack, had 2 quarterback hits. Who else? Azeez Al-Shahir, continuing where he left off, 5 tackles. Dre Greenlaw, 4 tackles. There was that shit penalty. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was either on Greenlaw. I think it was on Greenlaw. The roughing the passer, which was complete bullshit when Justin Fields got tackled. That was a terrible call. Deshaun Gibson Jr., Hassan Ridgeway, and Samson Ebukam, continuing where he left off last season, kind of fills in for Ford a little bit on the edge. I'd like to see us use Ebukam a lot more on different sides of the ball. I like that. We're getting use out of him. Because for a good chunk of the year last year, my question was, where's he? How come he's not in there? Where's the package? Arik Armstead was a little quiet, but that's understandable. I don't doubt him. I think he's really stepped into his own. I was really critical of him early on. Look, other than the blown touchdown pass that Fields threw, which was to just reminding myself, well, ex-49er Dante Pettis, which was a kick in the balls. I don't have a problem with the way the defensive backfield played. We didn't hear much from Darnell Mooney at all. I mean, Fields only threw 17 passes, completing 8 of them. So I think for the most part, the defense did their job. Okay, Drake Jackson, we saw getting some burn. Shavarius Ward was looking pretty good there. First half, Ambry Thomas, and on we go. So this is not the defense's fault, man. Okay, we got that 1 pick from Huffenega. Is there anything he didn't do in this game? I hope he brings a lot more of this season. We keep seeing him just being, being so versatile all season long. McLeod had a really good day returning kicks. Kick returns, 42 yards on 2 returns. Even punt, 11.5 yards, which is, these days where you don't really see punt returns anymore. It was pretty good. Wishnowsky, I'm not going to put the blame on too much at all. I mean, only 40 yards average. But then again, the weather was complete shit. 3 inside the 20, which I always like because, obviously that allows our defense to put the pressure on them and pin them down. So I got no problem with the defense with this. Going to the Bears' offensive side of the ball, there's really not too much to talk about there. Again, their numbers didn't show me shit at all. Okay, Fields numbers not great. Looking at the running game, Herbert seemed to have taken over the load. He had that touchdown run. He started to become a thing after a while. Fields 28 yards on the ground. Him and Montgomery didn't do anything. They were nonchalant in this one. And then look, Montgomery had the most catches. I mean, Darnell, look at the targets. David Montgomery was targeted the most, which tells me one of two things. Fields was under duress, which he was for a lot of the time in the first half, and the defense did their job. So again, my hat off to them. I can't blame them. Defensively, we gave up 2 sacks, I think. Roquan Smith is just one of the best linebackers in football, if you ask me. They lose him, they're insane, okay? Because that guy is a stud. I wish we would have drafted him a couple years back when he was coming out of college. Dominique Robinson was the gentleman who got the sack off the edge on McGlinchey. He had a hell of a game. And everything else pretty much, wasn't too much of a problem. They didn't really. Jalen Johnson also with a tackle for a loss. The interception, Eddie Jackson made a really nice play, returned that 26 yards. So again, I'm not pinning this on the defense. In fact, I thought that my testament, my respect goes to the defensive unit and DeMeco Ryans. Let's go to the real important facts, which were the team stats. And for anyone that didn't watch the game, okay, sometimes, look, the numbers aren't everything, but let's just break it down. Okay, we beat them in first downs. We beat them in running first downs. Third down efficiency, 8 of 17, which isn't great, below 50%. Against 5 and 14, I'll take out 8 of 17. Fourth down efficiency, 0 for 2. Okay, we had more plays. We had more yards. We had the same number of drive in 11. Yards per play, I have a problem with 4.9 yards per play. Too conservative. It's too friggin' conservative. All right. And I just don't understand why. I know Shanny's got the history of being that way, but I just don't get it. Passing yards, 155 to their 105. Again, we were in control. Completion attempts, more. 13 to 28 to 8 of 17. Do the math. On paper, both guys were under 50%, so they both had shit games. Yards per pass, not going to get it done 5 to 2. Only 2 sacks given up. Rushing, one of the areas that we always dominate for the most part. 176 to 99. Okay, 4.8 yards per rush. Not too bad. I mean, it's what? Almost half a 10 yards. Here's the biggest thing, as we all know. Penalties. 12 penalties, 99 yards. Now, looking back, some of the penalties, like I said, some of the calls were absolute garbage. But for the most part, the majority of the penalties came. And look, I think because it's only the first game of the season and there was limited preseason play, a lot of these guys may have not had the experience of playing with each other at the same time, which does happen. That being said, at this level, you have got to be prepared each and every game, as we all know. And you cannot have 12 penalties a game, okay? I think it definitely could have went a different way. We could have had a victory if we cut that maybe down by 6 or to 5, without a doubt. 2 turnovers, obviously the fumble and the interception. I think the fumble definitely killed the momentum because the Niners were going in, and the interception definitely killed it because the Bears went on to score. So this is everything in a nutshell. I mean, these are the numbers. 331 to 204. This is the chunk of the information. It was all in our favor. But we've seen this happen in the past when we have lost. We've seen similar numbers like this. Uh, and again, I think this is a game that obviously was winnable. And I have to put some of the blame on Shanahan, man. A lot of it. Okay. Just can't have things like this happen again. Um, and of course, look, we lost Mitchell. We all know that. It's going to be. This isn't the first time this has happened. And obviously, they just signed Marlon Mack, who a couple years ago had 1,000 yards as the primary running back for the Indianapolis Colts. He went down with that terrible knee injury. They draft Jonathan Taylor, so he's kind of out of the picture there. He's released. He's signed by the Houston Texans. Niners sign him. So, hey, look, that's great. I mean, Mack's not a bad running back when he's healthy and when he has a good offensive line behind him, but who's going to be the starting running back now? I mean, obviously, I would think most likely it's Jeff Wilson Jr. I'd like to see Davis Price utilized more. I want to see some of Jordan Mason. Knowing Shanahan, he's probably going to use all these guys. I would suspect. I could be wrong, but that would be my guess. Um, let's go forward to this upcoming week, who we all know is going to be a very interesting game. If you saw that Monday night game, I only saw a couple of bits and pieces of it as I was too busy watching Legacy on Hulu, which is amazing about the Lakers. My hat off to Geno Smith, man. I mean, look, I hate Seattle, obviously, but I will say this. Anybody who thought that this team was in a rebuild don't know shit, because Pete Carroll doesn't do rebuilds. That organization is so well invested in the team they have. They don't have time for a rebuild, okay? Now, I know they made these humongous strides and gambles. They traded away obviously, one of the best quarterbacks in football in Russell Wilson. They released Bobby Wagner, two guys who just did we're two leaders on both sides of the ball for all these years. I mean, Bobby Wagner is a linebacker's linebacker. He will go down as one of the best linebackers of all time, and definitely will ride into Canton, Ohio, as will Russell Wilson. These guys were part of Super Bowl teams, a Super Bowl team, I should say. So, losing them cannot be easy. However, on the flip side of that, the Seahawks did make out with that trade Shelby Harris, Noah Fant, and a first-round draft pick. And look, Geno Smith is a guy who knows this offense well. He's been there for a couple of years. He filled in admirably last year. You cannot argue that. If you're an objective fan, you can't argue that. And therefore, I really like what I saw from him the last couple of years. The last couple of games last year. And for the most part, from the highlights I saw in this game, he played really well. He played within himself. I believe his numbers were 23 of 28. 195 yards and 2 touchdown passes. And this is a guy who washed out in New York. I live in New York, so I grew up in a Jets household, and I still pull for the Jets, of course, as just from being the son of a Jet fan. And I saw Geno Smith wash out in New York, the whole controversy when he got his jaw broken and all that shit. But for the most part, he seems to have really locked into a team and an offense that he can operate within himself. I think, that's what you're seeing. And again, my hat off to Coach Carroll, because he knows how to utilize the talent he has around him. We saw that last year when they were without Russell Wilson and without Chris Carson. Speaking of which, Rashad Penny starting to step into his own. I mean, he's another threat for them, and they have that multiple running backfield. Travis Homer, and they have the rookie Walker, and then of course, look, man, they've got themselves two of the best receivers in football. It's a dynamic duo in Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. So this is not a team that I feel is trying to rebuild. This Jordan Brooks, he's an animal too. He reminds me of Bobby Wagner on the other side of the ball. Tackling machine. Like I said, Shelby Harris, Poona Ford. This is a good team, man. And this is a division that we all know can go either way. On any given Sunday, this is, I think, the most unique and toughest division in football because of the the talent. So far, just looking at the pre-game injuries for this upcoming week. Hopefully, this will change. Brunskill, Kittle, and Mitchell. Obviously, we're down Mitchell. He won't be back for 2 months, so they say. And George Kittle is questionable. Hopefully, he could play Sunday because we desperately need him. Jamal Adams is a hell of a talented player. Sorry to see him. Another serious injury to his quad. That poor guy has had nothing but bad luck in the last 2 years. With the hand injury that he had, and then the knee injury, and then a quad injury. I mean, crazy shit. They've got a bunch of injuries, but nothing to their main core. But this is going to be a very interesting game. Obviously, we're at home, our first home game of the season. Game we definitely have to win. I don't really go by this, the 73.4 percentage, because we were also picked number-wise to beat the Bears, and we all know how that happened. And obviously, like I said, you can't go by the stats too much because it's only been 1 week. But I will say, man, I was impressed from what I saw with the Seahawks. Again, it's a winnable game. I wonder what the game plans are going to be again this week. We usually see sometimes when the Niners come out and do what they did last week. We always see that the week after there's a lot of liveliness to the offense, and there's a lot different dynamic to them. They look to just seem to bounce back well, and I think it's definitely going to be riding in their direction, the momentum that we're at home coming off a loss, and this is the divisional rival who we friggin' hate. So, again, this is a winnable game, all right? And obviously a game we have to win, a division game. Talking about the division real quick, if you were not aware last week, or I don't know, if you just weren't paying attention. Obviously, the Rams got their ass handed to them, thank God. We all hate the Rams. And obviously, the Arizona Cardinals look like jack shit, which I really didn't expect. I know they were down DeAndre Hopkins, okay, but they look like dog shit. Them and the Rams look like two different teams. I mean, the Rams Thursday night got absolutely dominated on all sides of the ball by the Buffalo Bills. The Bills, I think, are the team to beat, okay, for the most part. It's going to be really hard to conquer anybody in the AFC, at least. The Rams look like a totally different team. I mean, Matthew Stafford got rattled. Kemp does what he always does. He's a machine. 13 catches, 128, and a touchdown. Allen Robinson wasn't even really utilized. No Van Jefferson. That Scour Neck guy I like. I like the way he plays the game. Tyler Highby was a highlight, but on the defensive side of the ball for the Bills, Von Miller was wreaking havoc on his ex-quarterback. So always good to have the Rams get abused. And then just going to the Cardinals real quick. I mean, if you had the chance to put this game on, and I know not everybody, you have all the games streaming. Wow. Kansas City Chiefs just strapped it on like I have never seen. I mean, Mahomes is a freak show. 5 touchdown passes. Cardinals never had a shot in this one. All right. So, again, man, this is that type of division. This is really that type of division. I expect, this is, again, just 1 week. But I don't know. You tell me. The Rams do not look right. That offensive line has been decimated from free agency. They can't run the ball. Cam Akers, what do you have? 0.1 average. They look like they have the running the ball is just an afterthought there. All right, something is off with them, and obviously they miss Von Miller too. For the Cardinals, like I said, they're down DeAndre Hopkins. Look, Kyler Murray, man, talented guy, but we've seen things happen to him towards the end of the season. There's a lot of that team that has a lot riding on this season. Okay, I would like to think that a lot of people expect more from them, Obviously it's one game, but I tell you the truth, if they wash out this season, which they definitely pretty much can, there's going to be a lot of changes there, and it's going to be really a disappointment um, for them because they have spent this season and last trying to put together the most perfect team with Kyler Murray, with Hollywood Brown, obviously with DeAndre Hopkins, Zach Ertz. Excuse me, even on the defensive side of the ball, I can't judge them right now. Like that was one game and they played the high powered Chiefs, but for the most part, like I said, I mean, I just don't think going back. I don't think the Rams look right in that opening game, and obviously things can change, but I don't know, man. I just didn't things didn't look like they were gelling. So, but again, coming up this week is the Seattle Seahawks, divisional rival game. We definitely have to win, and I don't know about you guys, but look, I know there were a lot of people on Trey Lance's ass after this game, and I can understand why. I was telling someone the other day, you can't really blame the people for being on his ass that much because this is what management has allowed to happen with the way they drafted him. And I'm going to say this again for the millionth, tillionth, billionth, whatever the fuck it is, time. Because of how he was drafted, a lot is going to be expected of him. A lot more than the numbers he put up Sunday. A lot more than the play he had Sunday. Okay? If you think about this for a second, think about the quarterbacks that came out of that draft last year, right? Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Davis Mills, Justin Fields. So far, based off what we've seen, the games they've played, or the limited games they've played for that matter, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, and Justin Fields have not looked like first-round draft picks. Davis Mills has really played well for a Texan team that was decimated in talent. That guy has really impressed me, and I'm sure a lot of other people. These other guys so far have not. And again, this is just an overview. Nothing, not trying to break everything down. This is just a plain overview of the situation. But a lot more is expected of this team, and a lot more is expected of Trey Lance. And all year long, this guy is going to have the spotlight on him. And if I'm just saying this objectively, if he doesn't put up Mahomes like numbers or something close to that, it's going to be looked at as a failure. Now, is that a testament to him or a negative to him? A little bit of both. And a lot of it is out of his control because the media has really put the spotlight on him. But again, this is a blame on management for drafting him as high as they did and as controversial as they did with the trades. This kid is thrown into the fire now, and if we're winning and we're 11-6, I don't really give, if he doesn't have 35 touchdown passes, I don't give a shit about that. If he does, hey, that's great. If we're 7-10 and he's got great numbers, okay. I don't think that's going to happen, but maybe it's just not just him. If he does falter, well, then obviously something is wrong. But either way, it's going to be really hard for this kid to do anything other than totally dominate. And I don't, again, 80-20, he doesn't turn out like Patrick Mahomes. I hope he just turns out to be the first Trey Lance, an ultra-talented guy. But going into this game, gonna need to see a lot out of him. I hope that we're able to, the weather obviously I think will be for the most part be better, but I hope that we're able to have a lot more downfield looks. I hope that we're able to have a lot more, just a lot more smarter plays, less penalties, less conservative shit. I mean, Shanahan, I love him, but sometimes, man, he goes beyond ultra conservative, and I think it's like an OCD to some extent, because gambling is, it's a rare thing for him to do sometimes. And again, I love Shanny. I think he's a super cerebral type guy. But this conservative shit's just not going to cut it, man. And the 12 penalties, that sure shit ain't going to cut it. So, a winnable game Sunday that escaped us. And there's another winnable game coming up. So, and it's not going to get any easier from here. You know, Rams twice, Seattle again, Cardinals twice, and so on and so forth. So we need to definitely see more. Definitely keep an eye out to see what the injuries are going to be like during the week, to see the upgrade or the upgraded status on George Kittle and everybody else. Daniel Brunskill. It's going to be interesting to see how the injuries affect this one. Although I don't think we lost anybody really during the game other than Elijah Mitchell. And like I said, man, you know, that first half was a totally different team. They were high powered. That defense was just coming with a vengeance. You know, I think this year again we're going to expect much of what we saw last year. This is going to be the top defense in football that keeps us in games, that really controls games. I just wish the offense would just kind of, and it's good. There's a good chance that it can happen. That they would just kind of really, you know, even that out a little bit. So it's going to be interesting, man. If you guys have any comments, questions, or opinions, man, I'm always open to it. Always happy to talk back and forth, man. But yeah, we'll wait and see. I'm curious tonight. I also too want to give a shout, as I did in the post. I give a lot of credit to Trey Lance's tweet about him putting the blame on himself. I like that. Obviously, he's not wrong, but I give him a lot of credit for that. And it'll be interesting to see what we can get, out of the offense in this next game. So definitely stay tuned. And I think I'll be doing another video this week breaking down the upcoming game against the Seattle Seahawks. Probably most likely more by the weekend when the injury report is a little bit more relevant and more known. So definitely stay in touch. Hit me up with a question if you have it. I'm always happy to talk, man. Hanging with the Niner Nut. Be well.